No, everyone had some type of emotional reaction when they saw Ohio State hosting a playoff game, and then your emotions may have gone up or they may have gone down when you found out the Buckeyes are playing Tennessee. And here with us to talk about the Tennessee Volunteers and the Ohio State matchup in the first round of the college football playoff, it's Eric Cain. He's the host of Locked On Vols. And Eric, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this matchup in the first round of the playoff.
Yeah, Jay. I mean, as a college football fan, this is the best, right? I mean, granted, I wish Tennessee was hosting a playoff game, and there was a conversation for that, in regards to Ohio State or Penn State or whoever. But at the end of the day, the best part about this 12-team playoff is the fact that you get to host games and get to travel in the first round. I think that's awesome. So, the college football fan in me, I am pumped to go on the road, see a venue that I've not seen, see a really good football team, and hopefully a really good football game with the Rose Bowl on the line. I mean, that's exciting, right? Now, as far as the matchup, Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country. I think Tennessee can win the game, but I think it's going to be super challenging. I know Tennessee's, and really the SEC in general, it's just so hard to win on the
Mm-hmm.
road. So we've seen Tennessee go on the road and lose 2 games this year, one to Arkansas and one to Georgia. So road woes dating back really throughout Josh Heupel's tenure here. It's not been great for Tennessee. But with Tennessee's defense, I know Ohio State's got a really good defense, but with Tennessee's defense and Dylan Sampson at running back and Nico at quarterback, who's playing very well right now, I think this will be a great football game. So I'm excited. I'm pumped, and the winner at the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, sign me up.
Let's stick right there with Nico. I'm very curious to hear to dive into more of his game and look at his film from throughout the season. One of the guys that was really highly sought after when he was in high school, got there to Tennessee, and he seems like he's been doing a lot of good things this year. Made Tennessee fans really happy to have him there in Knoxville. How would you assess his play this year?
Yeah, he's getting better, man. He's getting better. He's playing his best football right now. He started off super hot against the UTCs, the Kent States, really the NC States as well. Everybody thought NC State was going to be a playoff team, but that was certainly not the case. He got into SEC play, and he looked like a first-year starting quarterback, making silly mistakes at times, not reading the field, making really good plays and then making a bad play. But throughout the course of the conference schedule, man, he's grown up. He's made a lot of big throws to win football games. Made a couple of big throws to win Tennessee the game against Alabama. I thought all things considered, Tennessee lost, but how he handled the game and the environments and the offense down to Georgia, I thought was really impressive. He had 4 total touchdowns, career high for him against Vanderbilt at the end of the regular season. So he's playing some really good football. Best thing about him is he can make all the throws. I wouldn't say that the deep shots. Tennessee will take deep shots. They haven't connected on too many of them this year, but they will take them. But his intermediate to the boundary throws, I mean, those are NFL throws. His escapability, they won't call true design run plays, maybe 1 or 2 a game, if that. But his escapability and able to, on 3rd and 7, I'm going to tuck and run and just go move the sticks. That's been something Tennessee's offense has lacked since Hendon Hooker. So he's a playmaker, man, and he's playing much better football now than he was at the beginning of the season. And of course, he's only going to get better in my opinion. So it's good for Tennessee that he's playing his best ball.
What are some of the best parts of the Tennessee offense?
Dylan Sampson. Tennessee will ride Dylan Sampson the entire game. He is such a warrior. 22 rushing touchdowns. I mean, leads the SEC, leads the SEC in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns and rushing attempts, all-purpose yards. He's a baller, man. He's tough. He's got good vision. He's really good after first contact. I think I'll have to double check the stats, so don't quote me, but I want to say like after first contact, he's nearing 1,000 yards. Like
Oh wow,
he's really
yeah.
talented after first contact. But nonetheless, Dylan Sampson's a really good player. That offensive line, he can't do it alone. They rush block very well, run block. Tackles, pass protection's been a little bit of a whirlwind all year long, but running the football, very good. And Tennessee's use of the tight ends, Miles Kitselman, Holden Stays, Ethan Davis, they'll play 2, they'll play 3, but 2 primarily, and they are a huge focal point in the run game. And that's somebody that Nico likes over the middle of the field in the short intermediate passing game to Miles Kitselman. So, Dylan Sampson, the offensive line and run blocking, and of course the use of the tight ends.
On the flip side, let's go to defense really quickly. This is one of those matchups that I'm going to be watching all game long, leading into Ohio State and some potential moves that Ryan Day may make on the offensive line. I'm not a fan of what I've heard about potentially 4 of your 5 offensive line spots being different from the Michigan game to the Tennessee game. Makes me a little nervous. But when it comes to Tennessee's defensive line, I think a lot of Buckeye fans are curious how consistent that unit has been. Consistently good, consistently kind of in the middle, bad. Where would you say that that unit has been all year?
The Tennessee defensive line?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's been top notch. Now they've had some off games at Georgia. I mean, it was a bad game. I think they had like 2 TFLs, no sacks. That was bad. But overall, I mean, that's kind of what you hang your hat on if you're Tennessee. You've got Rodney Garner, who is a veteran SEC defensive line coach. And I kid you not, man, he will play 13 or 14 guys in the football game up front. They rotate they'll do line shifts. If it's a 5-6 play drive, he'll take 4 in, take 4 out, put 4 fresh in. And it's really intriguing because he wants these guys to be fresh and ready to go as the game goes along. James Pierce is going to be a first-round NFL draft pick on the edge. I think he's got like 7 sacks this year. Not as many as we thought he was going to get, but obviously he's somebody to pay attention to. Joshua Josephs, who also plays off the edge, is a really dynamic player. In the interior, Tennessee's got Omar Norman Lott, who's going to be a draft pick, Amari Thomas, Bryson Easton. Those guys are, a handful. And then on the other side from the Leo position, the other defensive end spot, Tennessee plays 3 guys, and a guy like Jason Jenkins has truly emerged. So, again, I just threw out probably 7, 8 names right there. Tennessee plays 13, and that's the strength of that defense. It all starts up front, and that defensive line really helps the secondary that is brand new this year compared to last year, and it's probably got an All-American and cornerback Jermon McCoy.
Let's go to the secondary. Well, linebackers, too. You can't guard the guys that Ohio State has on the outside with just your secondary. But I'm very curious because I've said for a while that Will Howard should target Jeremiah Smith at least 10 times a game. And then I saw somebody else say target Egbuka 10 times a game. If you combine those two, that's 20 passes thrown to those 2 guys. I think they are 2 guys that deserve that amount of attention when you add in Carnell Tate. And I think Brandon Ennis, it's possible they use 4 receivers this week in this game, not consistently, but enough to keep Tennessee's defense off balance. How well do you think Tennessee can guard Egbuka, Jeremiah Smith, and then Carnell Tate?
It's going to be tough, man. I mean, obviously, Tennessee's defense has got their work cut out for them. Their secondary, they've got to get a pass rush. They got to mix some things up, too. Tim Banks, he might win the Broyles Award this year as the nation's top assistant. He might be a head coach this offseason. Like, he's had that type of year. However, in certain games throughout Tennessee's career, or his career with Tennessee the last couple of years, sometimes he gets married in a scheme and he just kind of won't budge. You think Georgia this year where Tennessee, according to Pro Football Focus, splits 47% of the time. Didn't feel like that, but it felt like he hardly sent anybody from the second or third layer. That was the same case at Florida back in 2023. He kind of gets married to something and won't budge off it. Tennessee needs to mix some things up. Tennessee, at its core, before it was a really good defense, was always an aggressive defense. And Tennessee needs to try to get back there, force Will Howard into making the wrong decision and going and trying to create opportunities in the back end. Jermon McCoy is a lockdown corner. He will be an All-American this year, in my opinion. Ricky Gibson on the other side. Both these guys are sophomores, by the way. Ricky Gibson is playing his best ball. He just continues to get better. Tennessee at safety, they're going to play 4 guys when healthy, so they're okay. They're not liabilities, but there's kind of a rotation there. And then Tennessee will play 2 nickelback players. One is a true freshman at Boo Carter, who's really physical, who will talk the trash, still learning on the fly, but he'll make some plays. And then Christian Harrison, who is the son of NFL legend Rodney Harrison. He's turned into a pretty good player. So Tennessee will throw some looks at him. They'll mix up the coverages. They'll blitz from the second, third layer, play some man in on the back end. But it all comes with you've got to get after the quarterback. If you don't get after the quarterback, then Tennessee's defense will have a long day. And I think you can say that, this is the case for the majority of defenses, probably Ohio State as well.
Eric, I really enjoyed this, man. Look forward to having you on the show the week of the game. This is one of those games that I told you it makes you a little bit nervous. Not going to lie to you. I think Ohio State is good enough to win. I also think Tennessee can do some things that they could be victorious in this game as well. Look forward to getting Eric back on the show the week of this first-round matchup. It's at home with Columbus, which is a massive benefit for Ohio State because if it was down there in Neyland Stadium, trust me, that would be a massive wild scene as well. Eric, thanks for coming on the show, man. I really enjoyed it.
Hey, had fun, Jay. Anytime.